Hey everyone, Seed Butter here. So guys, I have played a whole lot of Wii Sports in my life, and as I've gotten older and began making videos about the game, I've been thinking a little bit more critically about some of its elements. And yeah, I know it's a family and kids-oriented game, and it's not meant to be taken too seriously, but there's lots of little things about Wii Sports that have bothered me, even since I was a little kid. One thing I have literally always wondered since I was a child was how exactly the Mii bodies work. Watching these guys play baseball is just a bit interesting. How is it that a fellow with legs can suddenly lose them and then still run? What did you need the freaking legs for if you just shed them? Or other appendages that disappear and reappear when needed on certain Miis that, to our knowledge, are the same person? The general problem about the bodies of Miis is what got me to make this video today. This is actually the second theory in a series of Wii Sports related theories that I'm working on, and if you're interested, you could check out the first episode where I seek to explain exactly how Woohoo Island came to be. I highly recommend that you check it out, though you won't need to watch it to understand this video. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy this video, and put any counterpoints or other ideas for Wii Sports theories that you can think of down below in the comments. Now let's get right into this theory. So, if you've played any Wii Sports games, you will have definitely noticed how, depending on the environment, or specifically what sport a Mii is playing, their bodies are different. And not just differences in clothing or appearance, but their physical body. They add or detach entire appendages for sake of sport. Why is this? Well, before we answer that question, let's just catalog the types of Mii body forms for each sport. In the original Wii Sports game, there are 5 sports. In baseball, Miis can actually take on 3 different forms: a batting and pitching form, a running form, and a fielding form. When batting or pitching, Miis have hands, legs, and feet, though once they run the bases, they have neither legs nor feet nor hands. When fielding, Miis have hands but no legs or feet. Interesting. Let's look at bowling. When bowling, Miis have hands, legs, and feet. Well, sometimes at least. Miis that bowl next to you have hands but no feet or legs, and Miis in the background watching you play have neither hands nor legs nor feet. In boxing, Miis have, again, hands, feet, and legs. It's the same deal while golfing and while also playing tennis. So, throughout these different games, we have 3 distinct forms that our Miis can take on: having no appendages at all, having legs, hands, and feet, and finally having hands but no legs or feet. Let's transition to Wii Sports Resort. The concept here remains the same, but we bring in more forms with the addition of a few new games like wakeboarding, cycling, and archery, where Miis have actual arms. This brings us to 4 distinct forms. Yet strangely, for games like basketball where arms would certainly be useful, Miis don't have them. Now, an easy answer to give is that Nintendo didn't want Miis to have arms because they're more complicated to animate than just hands, and you'll notice that in games like cycling, for example, where Miis have arms, the arms don't move very much. In a game like basketball, arms would need to be very fluid and thus would require extra work to animate. However, that answer does not satisfy me. I demand an in-universe answer to this conundrum. An in-universe answer to this problem is going to be a lot harder to provide than one might expect. The biggest issue with these forms, in my opinion, is the fact that we never get to see Miis switch between forms. We know it happens because we see the same Miis in different states. So what can we infer from it not being shown on screen? Well, there's actually one game where Miis change forms while playing, and that's baseball. Yes, we see different forms within the bowling game, but we don't have any direct evidence of these Miis switching while playing. I guess that means that it's just their preference to play with or without legs. This leads me to believe that at any given time, Miis can retract or grow their limbs to suit their activity. However, it must be generally considered private. It's like going to the bathroom. Every Mii does it, but you probably wouldn't do it in front of a stranger. It's considered taboo in Mii culture. For some reason during baseball, Miis do it anyway, but it doesn't show up on camera. It's something that you'd see while watching the game, but Miis wouldn't broadcast it on TV or anything like that, making me think that from a social standpoint, unless it's absolutely necessary like in baseball, you wouldn't transform in front of other people. So you might be asking, why exactly do Miis transform for running in baseball? I mean, why do they literally shed their legs for running? Does that make any sense? Well, it does all go back to animation. Creating a running animation would take more work than just a pivoting animation shown here, so the legs disappear when Miis run. I can't offer an in-universe explanation for why Miis transform during baseball, so you'll just have to bear with me. It's weird enough. So, we've established that Miis can transform. And since we don't see any scattered limbs on the ground during baseball, we can infer that Miis don't shed their limbs, but rather suck them in and out of their own bodies. And this does happen in real life. Many animals do have appendages that they can pull in and out of their bodies. Cats have retractable claws, turtles can retract their limbs, and even the mouth can be retracted if you're a goblin shark. Given that Miis have this uncanny ability to transform themselves at will relatively quickly, we can establish that genetically they aren't very similar to humans, or sports mates featured in Switch Sports for that matter. In fact, from a genetic standpoint, it seems pretty hard to find out where, in our world at least, Miis would fit on an evolutionary tree. A bipedal humanoid with the ability to transform like Plastic Man isn't something that's very natural. But what if that's the point? We know that Miis aren't born, they are created. Now this is something I chose to ignore in my previous theory, but for sake of argument in this theory, I will assume that this right here is how all Miis are generated. Miis don't have a natural cultural history. They don't have families or they don't reproduce, at least that we know of. Miis are generated in this horrifying, near ethereal dimension. They are called to a precise order and can be manipulated by you with an invisible grip more powerful than individual Miis can comprehend. Their faces can be edited with a simple interface. It would be easy to take this information and say that perhaps Miis are robots or something like that, but given that they box and seemingly feel pain and pass out, I believe that they are organic beings. Organic beings that are genetically manipulated to perfection by their near omnipotent overlords. Miis don't evolve, they were created. Whoever created Miis is clearly technologically advanced. Why on earth would they even be making Miis though? Well, obviously we are making the Miis to play with them, but I demand an in-universe answer to this question. And I think I might have one. In Pilot Wings and We Fit You, two games that take place on Woohoo Island, the home of the Miis, there's a little detail that one could very easily overlook. Something teeny that to many is nothing more than a little Easter egg, but to me is the spark that will light off this theory. What is this thing, you ask? Well, nothing less than a literal flying saucer. This thing ain't a UFO, this thing is certainly an alien spacecraft. What the heck is it doing on Woohoo Island? Well, my friends, get ready to hear the true meaning of Wii Sports and the Miis in general. I believe these aliens are the ones creating the Miis, the overlords who dominate the ethereal realm of Mii creation, who are traveling to Woohoo Island to examine their creations and check in on them. Woohoo Island was created by the aliens. The aliens use a warp gate to get there, and perhaps even used to land on or otherwise use the ancient ruins on Woohoo Island. But why does Woohoo Island exist? Woohoo Island is where most of the games take place. I think that this alien race is creating Miis for their own viewing pleasure. In fact, I think there are even different factions of these aliens, or just different individual aliens or groups that create their own Miis and beam them down to Woohoo Island, and wherever else the classic Wii Sports takes place, to play games for the aliens' amusement. These aliens compete with each other vicariously through their creations. These genetically modified abominations of abnormal nature exist purely to satisfy the primal competitive urges of their alien overlords. Yes, you heard me right. These Miis can transform so that they can play games that aliens want to watch. They have a society, yes, but it was created merely by the aliens so that the Miis would have a place to live. Miis can transform, not because gifts of nature designed to help them survive, but because it is the will of these aliens. You might be wondering, who are these aliens? Well, what if they represent us? Are we supposed to vilify these aliens, despite the fact that we are the ones literally creating Miis and sending them off to fight just to entertain us? Is this some sort of commentary in that sense? Are we the bad guys? Are we the aliens? Well, that's for you to decide. I hope you guys enjoyed this shorter video, and I encourage you to stick around by subscribing to my channel. I have a lot of interesting content coming up, including some more Nintendo content, which I know you will all get a kick out of. This is all for now. Stay safe out there, and have a good night. Seed Butter out.